You start the day in the Appia Antica Park, where pets are allowed. There are many archaeological remains, a bird observatory, and hiking and biking trails. You take your time to enjoy the view of such a beautiful place. Then you get on the underground train to get to the city. You walk a bit and arrive at your first stop, the Church of Santa Maria Mayor. Built on a pagan temple for Cibeles, Santa Maria la Mayor is, along with the Basilica of Santa Sabina, the only Roman church that conserves the strict basilica layout and the early Paleo-Christian structure. On leaving, you make a short stop at the gardens of Plaza Victor Manuel II, where you can see the so-called Magic Gate, the entrance to the house of the alchemist Maximiliano Palombaro. The gate features an abundance of mysterious symbols and inscriptions. Since they were carved on the door, no one has been able to decipher them. You walk for half an hour until you reach the main attraction, the Colosseum. Its name derives from a colossal bronze statue of Nero that stood nearby, and it is also known as the Flavian Amphitheater. It is the largest amphitheater in the world, with a capacity to hold between 50,000 and 75,000 spectators, and it's almost 52 meters high. The Colosseum used to be the site of amphitheater games, including animal fights, executions of convicted criminals by wild beasts, and gladiator fights. With the decline of the empire, Colosseum fell into disuse, and its walls then housed fraternities, hospitals, hermitages, and even a cemetery. Next to the Colosseum is the Roman Forum, one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. In Roman civilization, the Forum represented the center of the known world. It was the meeting point for citizens from all the territories of the Republic and later the Empire. This is where you would go to be a spectator or take part in political debate. This is where most of the political, administrative, and economic activities took place. After the barbarian invasions and the fall of the Roman Empire, the Forum entered a slow process of decline, and in 1084, most of the monuments were destroyed by the wrath of flames. With the arrival of Christianity, some of the monuments were transformed into churches, others fell into disuse, and over time, the entire area fell into a state of abandonment, even being used as pasture under the name Campo Bacchino. You walk through the center where there are also archaeological remains. You head towards the national monument of Victor Manuel II, also known as Altare de la Patria, Altar of the Fatherland. The monument seems huge to you and commemorates the city of Rome and was made in honor of the first king of the unified Italy, Victor Manuel II. The architecture is incredible and the view from the place is amazing. You arrive at the Campidoglio, a square on a hill designed by Michelangelo. From there, you go out in search of something to eat and then to Campo de' Fiori, built on the ashes of the Circus of Domitian, where athletic competitions, games, and horse races took place. Today it is one of the most elegant and dynamic squares in Rome. According to legend, the square owes its name to Flora, the beloved of Pompey, the great Roman general who had built his theater nearby. Walking through cities is one of your favorite activities. On this occasion, you walk along the edge of the Tiber River until you reach the bridge that takes you to the Castle Sant'Angelo, a majestic monument built around 123 after Christ as a mausoleum for Emperor Hadrian and his family. While the rest of the Roman monuments have been reduced to rubbles or used as quarrels, this castle, through many transformations, followed the fortunes and history of Rome for almost 2,000 years. In fact, the original building was quite different from what you can see today. In 1277, it became part of the property of the Vatican and became a papal refuge. Since the Middle Ages, the fortress was also used as a prison. The castle in Rome is beautiful, but there is nothing to compare with its squares, and none like Piazza Navona. The Baroque-style square occupies the site of the former State of Domitian racetrack, built around 85 after Christ. In the center of the square, you can see the Fountain of the Four Rivers, which allegorically represents the Danube, the Ganges, the Nile, and the Plate River, referring respectively to Europe, Asia, Africa, and America, and is located in front of the Baroque church Santa Agnes. Inside the underground rooms of the church, you can see remains of the previous church and the Stadium of Domitian. In the square, you will also find other magnificent fountains, the Moor's Fountain and the Neptune's Fountain, both built in the 19th century. If Piazza Navona is the most beautiful, the most visited is without a doubt the one where the Trevi Fountain is located. The construction of the fountain began in 1732 and was completed 30 years later. The fountain is fed by one of the oldest Roman aqueducts, the Aqua Virgo, which brings spring water to Rome and that used to supply water to thermal baths. This fountain was made famous in the 1960 movie La Dolce Vita, where actress Anita Ekberg bathed in it. Unfortunately, the Trevi Fountain attracts thousands of tourists every day due to a well-known rite. Throwing a coin into the fountain with your right hand over your left shoulder will ensure that you will one day return to the Eternal City. It is just comforting to know that all the coins thrown into the fountain are collected regularly and donated to charity. You walk a few blocks from the Trevi Fountain to Rome's Pantheon, a structure that is over 2,000 years old and boasts the largest unreinforced concrete dome in the world. The name Pantheon comes from Greek and means related to all the gods. However, it is not clear if this has ever been a temple dedicated to more than one god, since in ancient Rome temples had to be dedicated to a particular god. This rule was applied to know which god was offended if something happened to the temple, and also to make it clear to whom the sacrifices on the altar were intended. Your feet take you from the Pantheon to the mouth of truth, the marble head of a river god that has remained on one of the walls of the Basilica of Santa Maria in Cosmedin since 1632. The name Mouth of Truth was first given to the sculpture in 1485. Since then, it has been one of the most significant symbols in Rome. It represents the bearded face of a man whose eyes, nose, and mouth are perforated and hollow. Its original function is still uncertain, and in the Middle Ages, it was believed that the mouth had powers of clairvoyance. Legends say that Virgil built the mouth of truth. If a person puts his hand inside the mouth and utters a statement, he will only pull it out unharmed if he has told the truth. If the statement is false, he could have his hand cut off. The movie Roman Holiday, starring the unforgettable Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck, brought the Mouth of Truth to worldwide fame. This was in 1953, and since then it has been known by tourists from all over the world because of the legend with which it is associated. The city is full of bridges that cross the Tiber River. Perhaps the most emblematic is the Milvio Bridge, one of the oldest in Rome. The Cestius and Fabrizio bridges led to distinct parts of Rome, including Tiber Island, one of the most evocative places in Rome. According to some, the smallest inhabited island in the world is related to the cult of Asclepius, the god of medicine. After visiting the tiny island, you head to St. Peter's Basilica. the main church of the Pope, and the burial place of one of the apostles of Jesus and the first Pope of Rome, Saint Peter. This is one of the two largest churches in the world and is considered by the Christian community to be one of the holiest places. In addition to admiring the beautiful architecture, you can see the famous Pietà by none other than Michelangelo, and an impressive collection of sculptures, and of course, there are many more parks, churches, and museums to see. First, the Archaeological Museum, then the Napoleonic Museum, dedicated to Napoleon and his lineage, with art also commemorating the strategic genius, the Exhibition Palace, and finally the Museum of Contemporary Art in Rome. By the time you finish touring the museums, sunset comes, and you pass by the Turtle Fountain, one of the most beautiful in Rome. The night comes with a sight and finds you in the Square of Spain, or Piazza di Spagna, with the great staircase known as Spanish Steps, Escalinata di Trinita dei Monti, that connects the Spanish Embassy, Palace of Spain, to the Holy See. The night is complete, and you say goodbye to Rome, admiring the Colosseum at night. In the morning, you will be in Napoli,